Steve and Justin here. Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steven Jack Butala, broadcasting from sunny Southern California. Today we talk about how to get acquisition funding with Justin, and we're going to throw in the definition of just because she says yes doesn't necessarily mean yes. And what do we mean by that? I was just talking to Justin before the show, and a lot of people contact him and ask him to partnership deals, which is really his main business. Aside from doing his own deals, which he does a ton of every month, he funds other people's acquisitions that are good, splits a margin with them. And he says a lot of people are coming to him, especially really brand new people, really excited about a transaction, and they're kind of seeing something in the deal that's not there. Like, do you have a recent example, maybe?
Yeah, we had here recently. We were in a small county out in Texas, and one of the guys brought his first deal. It was his first mailer, his first yes, and it was 40 acres for say $4,200 or something like that. And he's excited. He's like, "This shit really works. Stuff really works." Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Stuff really works, and you're like, "Yeah, it does. We told you that." And we go through the deal, and as soon as I pull it up on Parcel Fact, there's no road, and I'm like, "Well, how do you get to the property?" He's like, "Well, it says it has an easement." I said, well, literally, you can't drive to the property. It's got the topography. There's beautiful land. It'd be perfect to go hike, go camp, maybe go hunt on. Mm-hmm. But you can't drive a car there. So how are you going to actually go enjoy it if you're the end user? So, that excited part. She said yes. They wrote me yes. They want to sell me the property. Make sure it meets your contingencies. You don't have to touch. You don't have to buy it if she says yes to it. So
I struggled. People ask me, what did I struggle with when I started, like in the 90s, and I call it seeing something in the deal that's just not there.
Yep.
I wanted to work so bad, and you want to get that first deal done, or maybe the first year you're trying to like justify not working at your regular job anymore and make enough money. You don't want to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
That's another reason to call this guy, because he'll look at the deal and tell you, like, you saved this guy.
Yeah,
you saved him losing a bunch of money.
Had I been in his shoes, my first deal, we bought a couple of those proproperties. I knew exactly. I took the lumps for him, so I was like, just move on. And within 30 seconds, me looking, he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just go." And that's the good part about partnering with somebody or doing those joint ventures. You get to pick up on that wisdom. Now, is that something that cost him? No, it was free. We had the conversation about it. We moved forward, and he's going to be better off for that. But the 3 deals I lost money on in my investment history were deals that I didn't follow that basic thing that y'all taught, the access. The 4 A's. The access portion of it was all of them, and there was a barbed wire fence that I couldn't see on a 2-track. It's got a 2-track to it. It's supposed to have easement. Well, some farmers work in some adverse possession in a rural county, and they've got a survey, and they're 9 or 10 years into their adverse possession lawsuit.
Wow!
And so you can lose some money on there. We think we lost a total of $1,300 in 3 deals. And
that's nothing.
Over the course of 150, 160 transactions now.
The 4 A's are access. You have to have legal and physical access, especially in the beginning of your career. Mm-hmm. Later on, when you're a little more experienced, you can do without one or the other. Please look that up. It's very important. Acreage, more is better. This is for rural vacant land now. Attributes, like does it have great mountain views? Like Justin, you can tell he believed in this piece of property, and you can look at real estate even on satellite images on Google Earth or whatnot, and you can find out very quickly whether or not it's got attributes.
Yep. And the attribute doesn't have to necessarily be the property. It could be next to a big state park. We see somebody. I was talking to somebody on a property. They're like, "We don't know what the attributes are for this piece of property," and I'm like, "It's got views in every direction. There's mountains by it. You have a town that's within 2 miles of it, 3 miles of it. So if I have a rural piece of land and I've got a town that's within 3 miles, I can go grab supplies real quick. Whether it's just a gas station or a little general store, that's an attribute. You put that out there. And
could be utility locations. Yep. An attribute could actually be it's not something that has nothing to do with the actual real estate at all, and everything to do with the paper situation, like it doesn't have any debt, or there's a lot of things that make transactions hard or easy on the paper side. So that could be an attribute.
Taxes are current. You don't have any of that.
And then the 4th A is affordability. Cheaper is better, and those will keep you out of trouble. If you have a property that's got all 4 A's, you're going to do just fine. Before we get into the actual show, which we kind of just did there, let's take a question posted by one of our members from our landinvestors.com online community. John H. asks, Justin, what are your plans for 2019? What do you foresee in your business?
So for 2019, my pipe dream, or the vision board, as a lot of people have, is to have this car gallery that has my real estate office with my assistant working above it, looking down at these cars that have a license, that's where I can buy and sell whatever exotic car that I want.
This comes down to cars.
Yeah, it comes down to cars. But that my scalability of the land business is, that's up on top, and that's where the money's being made. The car gallery is just paying for itself, the rent for the building, for me to have the think tank for some of these investors that want to get involved and have a place to go every day. They've left their job. They don't want to work in their dining room, since, that's where we started. We started in our third bedroom, went to the dining room, turned the dining room into an office, and now we're getting to the point where we're outgrowing that, to where I need to have that other piece of staff in place to keep managing the other stuff. So whatever those think tank looks like, if it's Lamuel, if it's Plum, if it's whatever car gallery name we come up with, or whatever the next two businesses that we put together, it's whatever that looks like, what that staff looks like, and how that fits together. So for 2019, I see that scaling going to that direction versus doing more, instead of doing more 5-acre properties or 10-acre properties, kind of not necessarily there, but a couple big margin properties, to know that, hey, the year's paid for. We got bills. Everybody's got bills.
Right.
And then setting up the recurring income to where that's set up and in place, and then seeing that scalability on your passion projects too.
That's great. We are launching Land Academy Lite, which is Jill. That's kind of Jill's thing. I
love that idea.
It's an easier way to it's a way cheaper way to join Land Academy, with a lot of the more intermediate benefits removed that are unnecessary, so you're not charged for them.
Yeah.
And then we're also I'm launching House Academy, probably around January of 2019, and then from there we're going to add zeros, as you perfectly put in our meeting this morning. We'll add zeros to the transactions, namely doing larger movie star ranches that sell a little bit more slowly, and then we'll mix in a lot of SFRs in Southern California with a $700,000 price tag or more. We're going to try to make $100,000 a deal wholesale on every transaction we do, several times a month. So.
And to think, when you start your real estate business, you hear of pipe dreams like that, and you don't think about the scalability that we have, and everything comes down to the deal flow that we talk about, how we can bring these deals in, and then pricing methodology on top of that, and it's just percentage on percentage, and it snowballs, and it just gets going. It's exciting, and it's crazy to see what you can do with those things. Yeah. And it's nuts to me to see that all come into play.
Making a few $1 million a month, like a few of our members do, is totally realistic. You just have to be organized about it.
Yeah. I think that's where my hook came from, is when we did our first property. We did $100 an acre properties. Our first one, we bought 21. And I'm looking at my wife, because, again, it was her business. And I was like, this is $1 million company. All you got to do is put the mail in a box and buy the properties and just keep turning it.
Yeah.
And just don't take any money out of it. And I think that's where we see a lot of people get themselves in trouble, because they can't scale out of that. So
I had a classic car dealership one time, license and everything. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
It was a financial disaster.
Oh, great. So 2019 is looking pretty bad for me.
And here's why. Because I love cars.
Yeah.
As much as you do. And when you love something like that, it's just, do you make decisions from your heart, not from your head?
Yeah.
And that was bad for me.
Yeah. My goal is to pay the rent of the building that the cars sit in with the cars and drive them. So
that should be all right then.
That's
you got a subsidy in upstairs.
Yeah, upstairs. So and I have a vision board, or a picture of what I want and how I want it. And I have a commercial real estate friend. He's building some buildings, and he called me because I'd shown it to him. He's like, "Hey man,
it's the worst thing that can happen.
Can I get you a free lease?" I was like, "If you give me a pre-lease price, I need it to hold 4 cars inside, because you need that for the license in Texas." And he said, "Perfect." And I said, "I want a loft above it." And he's like, "Perfect. We got it."
So this can happen.
It could. It's we're gonna have to we'll have to make some deals go through. I'm the type of person I like to plan a year or two ahead, to where I want to have bills taken care of for a year or two. So in the event that something happens, we're not struggling to make ends meet. And I mean, we're in good shape now, but as we continue to grow and scale, having that out there, so I'll probably pay him for a year in advance for lease, put the car dealership in there, and if it pays me back on that, I'm loaning myself money.
Do you have the cars right now to put in there?
No, I'll have to go buy them. That's the fun part. So,
I do.
Yeah.
I'll ship some cars to you. I have a 1970 Cutlass convertible, triple black.
Oh. When this one come about?
I've had it for a long time. My buddy, I've talked about it on the show a few times, but my buddy came to me one day and said, this is when we still were in Arizona. He said, I've had this car for 20, almost 15 years, and I love it, but I need some dough. Here's the price. Come and get it. And it was just sitting in his car. It needed $4,000. It needed new differential and stuff, but the body was and the interior was great. So it was all under the hood, under the carriage. Mm-hmm. So I put $4,000 into it, and it's just beautiful. We don't have the space for it, so it's in storage here.
So all your cars are in storage here?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought you'd gotten rid of all of them.
Well, I have gotten rid of all the cars except that car, which I have like an emotional tie to. Mm-hmm. It's probably worth $50,000, and it doesn't matter. We're supposed to talk about real estate.
Okay, back to the meat of the show.
Plus, Jill's going to find out the truth if I keep talking.
Yeah.
We've kind of passed the meat of the show here.
So does that make me your inspiration now?
And we kind of covered the topic. So we talked about this, seeing something in a deal that's not there. What else do you see from newer people, newer Land Academy members that come in with deals and like big fatal flaws that they're not getting it just from a lack of experience? That's all.
Well, it's the access is a big thing, and it seems like one of the more simple things, but it's that and the pricing. Going into a deal and willing to pay a little bit too much for something because they were a little scared to add to negotiate down. And I've seen deals where guys had a bunch of hair on it, like there's back taxes, and they're wanting to say, well, the person wants this. Well, what do you want it for? Mm-hmm. And make that decision and just stick with it. And some deals you have to walk away from. People come back. Some people won't. I mean, you can't get emotional in it, and that's the big thing.
Absolutely.
A lot of people get emotional and forget that it's a number. It's a number on a spreadsheet. You're going to add. You're going to multiply it by 3 when you sell it. Whatever that is, if it's $100 or if it's $1,000 or if it's $2,000 or $5,000, knowing that pricing methodology and going through there. So don't get too excited if somebody says they want to negotiate with you. But on the flip side, if the margin's there and you're going to make $50,000 on a property and they want to raise you $5,000, so you made $45,000 on a deal.
That's the problem I see.
Yep, and that's we
reverse negotiation.
Yep,
and negotiate just to negotiate.
Yeah. And so, if that's the deal and you're still in your threshold, take the deal, make your money and move on. So
we have multiple sets of boots on the ground in certain markets in the southwest part of the country, and we have one set who are personal friends of ours. They actually answer the phone, so because we trust them. Mm-hmm. They're the transaction coordinator for that little submarket. It's a submarket outside of Phoenix, and and we're still kind of, I don't want to use the word training. We're still guiding them, because they have some experience. Yeah. But one of the things, every single deal, a deal comes in, they throw it in the spreadsheet, we all get excited about it and look at it, and I'm trying to train them on the very first conversation when it comes in to say, does this price work for you? Does the price work on the sheet that we sent, on the purchase agreement that we sent? Does it work for you? Yep. And for whatever reason, that's out of their comfort zone. Yeah. And so weeks go by, and a lot of conversations go by. And then we find out, oh no, that price doesn't work at all. Yeah, and that's in my dialogue with Pat Live, and we talked about that yesterday, is to have that question in there. If you're scared to say it, have Pat Live do it for you. I mean, they take the hate for you, so let Pat Live ask the question, hey, do you accept our price? No. What price do you want for it? Well, now I know if it's a hot lead or if it's not. If I offered them $100,000 on a house and they said, no, I'll take $150,000. Well, if I offered them $100,000, I know the comp's probably about $165,000, $170,000. So, it's not a great deal at $150,000. I'm not going to waste my time. I may call them back and have the conversation, just touch base and say, hey, I can't get to $150,000. This is where I'm at. And this is what I'm going to have to do. I haven't even looked at it. But if it's $110,000 and the difference of $100,000 and $110,000, the question is, hey, let me get inside the house and go from there. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't even the last probably 15 SFR deals we've done, I've never seen the house at all. I've just looked at pictures and that's it.
Well, it's because I shot my market. And you have boots on the ground. You'll have that. I don't have my boots on the ground yet. I'm gonna borrow yours.
Well, yeah, you're welcome to. Well, you've done it again. You spent another 15 minutes or so listening to the Land Academy Show. Join us next time where we discuss another interesting episode and we answer your questions online at landinvestors.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Thanks, Justin.
No problem.